Work-life balance is a lie sold by people who haven't built anything. How many people do you listen to and talk about balance between working and your personal life? I don't know who really built a successful company. Let's talk about a successful company from scratch without having a huge impact on their personal life. Look at Elon Musk, look at Jeff Bezos. Look at these guys. Look at the divorces they've gone through. Bill Gates went through a divorce. These are the top guys. Larry Ellison, he's always getting married. Robert Murdoch, he's always getting married. These are the top guys. These are the billionaires. This is what's pushed out in mainstream media. And there is an undertone, which it seems like to me, a lot of this comes from LinkedIn. I don't know why it comes from LinkedIn. It comes from W-2 employees, executives, trying to have a work-life balance. Maybe it's a younger generation wanting things given to them without the hard work. I'm not really sure about this work-life balance narrative that's out there. Hey, I'm going to kind of go to work, make $1 million a year, and at the same time, I'm going to work from 10 to 4. I don't see it. Generation X year, CXC, right? That's my initials. Craig Xander Cecilio. I'm a Gen Xer. We work hard. We roll up our sleeves, get the job done. It's in my blood to work hard. But I don't think it's just me. I think it's to get ahead. Anyone else to get ahead. If you don't have a skill set or weak in one area, you need to put the extra hours to develop that skill set. So if you decide to have a family and they say, oh, I have a family that's holding me back. Well, you know what? You got to think things through all the way. A lot of people say have kids early. A lot of people say have kids late. Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to build something? Because there will be circumstances. There are going to be circumstances. It's a byproduct. Cause and react, right? Causation, correlation, reactions happen from that stuff. So what I mean by that is that everything you kind of do essentially has a cause and effect relationship at the end of the day. So if we're going to work all these extra hours and build a company, hey, you know what? Something's going to be sacrificed. A lot of people sacrifice their health. You see that all the time. I'm not big into that. I think you have to have that health because that gives you a sound body and mind, makes you more present in that limited amount of time you have with the important people in your life. But let's face it, you are going to have to make some serious sacrifices to get successful. The narrative out there about you being able to have this balance going on, when you're building a business, shit is thrown at you all the time. Look at where we are right now. Like AI is being pushed out aggressively. So if you're a small business owner and you're not incorporating AI, a larger business could take your idea and blow you up. There's about 34 million businesses out there, right? In the US, we're talking about the US. I think the number's around 33 million have 10 and less employees. How do you keep up? You have to work extra hours. Do you think you could go buy a business and let it operate on its own? Take one of those courses by Alex Hormozy or Walker Diebel. Go in, let me buy a business with an SBA loan for $1.6 million loan and get a $400,000 down payment. Maybe get a couple investors there. I'm going to let someone else run it. You're crazy. You're going to be in there and new management's coming in. People are going to run like the rats run to the hill and they're going to see what's going on, how it's going to affect their lives. You're going to go in and actually do a lot of work yourselves. Now, if you buy a really large company, it most likely can run on its own if you do it correctly. But if you're thinking you're buying a business that's less than 5 million, again, 33 million companies, small businesses in the US, less than 10 employees. So if you're going to buy one of those businesses, you're buying a business with less than 10 employees. Well, there's a reason they have less than 10 employees. What's that reason? It's because they don't have systems in place. So you're going to go in and put your systems in place. That means you're going to have to put the work in. So I'm going to have work-life balance when you just bought a business. Something's not connecting here. Again, these LinkedIn posts are great. People work for these large corporations or have these side gigs or these consultants trying to figure out a way to make money from you. Especially today, there's a lot of AI charlatans out there. A lot of people pushing these products out there that don't necessarily increase revenue. So now you have all this extra time you have to spend learning how to incorporate and integrate AI in your business or you're going to be left behind. That's extra time, extra hours, maybe even extra expenses because does it correlate directly to revenue in your business today? And the answer is no. And if you think the answer is yes, you're wrong. Tell me a company that goes out, puts some AI agents in their company, and makes money with the same day that they implement that and integrate that. I don't see it happening. Tell me one. I'd love to hear one. Reach out to me. Let me know. DM me. I'd love to have the conversation. It's a buildup. It's you're rebuilding your infrastructure. You're kind of restarting your business. You're running two businesses. You got the day-to-day business you got to run because you got to bring in revenue, keep the business afloat, and then you have to build out for the future. I use the word CapEx, capital expenditures, invest in the future of the business. If not, you're not going to have the business. That's a lot of stress on people today, right? There's a lot more going on. And to go, hey, I'm going to have work-life balance. You hear everyone online. Hey, I get up early in the morning. I get in the sun. I do my therapy, my hot cold therapy. I go work out. I eat healthy. I take my kids to school. I have date night with my wife. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. That sounds like 5 hours out of your day when you're working. You got sleep, right? So what are you doing the rest of the time? I love guys. Oh, I could pack it all into 4 hours a day. If you could pack the whole workday in 4 hours a day and be worth $100 million or more, DM me. I want to know how. Don't sell me this bullshit. So if you're going to say, oh, I do it, I want to see a list of every single person you consulted with, every single one, and know the percentage of the ones that listen to you for that 4-hour workday. What, 1 out of 100 maybe? Again, when I'm looking at things, I'm looking at the average, right? I'm looking at not just the mean, I'm looking at the mode, which is where do most people lie? And most people lie like kind of right in the middle, not these extremes, I got it done. And that's kind of how I look at things at the end of the day. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm a top performer. I'm going to go outside that mean, right? Or mode here in this case. I'm going to go outside the box. I know who I am, what I'm capable of doing, but the average person, you're selling the dream, right? Yeah, we have the capability to do amazing things, but at the end of the day, we're listening to consultants and people who are giving us all this advice who've not done it before, or have a bunch of clients who haven't done it. So there's only a few and far between that have gotten it done, and the ones who got it done had to work a lot of hours. There is no balance. Now, if you can figure it out and create companies and they pop up, you will. With time, you could do that. But then you get obsessed with it. So I start accomplishing stuff and it starts working. And then I go to the next and I go to the next, go to the next. It becomes an obsession. And that's kind of what it takes. You got to be obsessed with that. It has to be like in your blood. You love building things. And you go on to the next and next. And your significant other just knows you're that way if they accept you that way. So it's a big deal. I mean, your wife's going to suffer. No one's going to tell you the truth about it, right? No one's going to tell the truth that your wife is going to suffer while you build. And your kids are going to resent you. When they're older, they might forgive you and they might understand you more. Your wife's going to suffer. Your kids are going to resent you if you're building something special. And like, again, the norm, right? What's the norm? People put on this fake persona. They're not being authentic and saying it's tough. I mean, I'm fortunate. I think I have a great wife, but I do know that I'm not around for a lot of my kids' events. That's kind of just the way it is at the end of the day. And really, I would like to be there more for them. I really want to be there for them as much as I can, but I'm not. I have to choose between the business kind of really accelerating because I got shareholders, I got fiduciary to them, or a kids' event. Every time it's the business first. If you don't agree with me, then you're like, okay, I'm going to go to the kids' event instead of working on this project. Well, what happens if your business goes under? You're going to get into lawsuits, shareholders are going to be mad at you, and you're not going to have a family. The choice is kind of obvious. If you want to have the family, you got to put the work in. Your job, your responsibility is to bring home the bacon, be the protector for the family. Again, people do not want to talk about this. They do not want to talk about the truth. And if you have figured out a way to do this over time, it's like there's pockets of time where people have gone in, built a company, flipped it, right? Sold it due to market conditions and got a lot of money, and they're able to have a great life. That is phenomenal. And a lot of that is speculative in nature. We just got this great market. I would say I'm big into like content and that world a little bit. And I know some people sold some content businesses, and nowadays I know those things don't work. You're not going to get the multiple on it. And they sold it for an extraordinary amount of time. built a business. Business was doing really well. It was the in business, and they sold it in a good market. Again, cycles, right? And they exit the right time. And then they're like, okay, I have a work-life balance now. Well, of course, you got a $100 million check. Anyone could have a work-life balance with a $100 million check. But actually, inside yourself, you're probably going to jump on the next project because we're just kind of wound that way. So I'm going to get back to what we're talking about here is work-life balance is bullshit. I'm going to be true about it. It is. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And if you've run a business for 10 years, for a good amount of time, you're going to understand that. If you're a small business owner, you have your good times and you have your bad times. And when you have your good times, it's great. You take a little extra time off. Maybe you hire more employees to do the work you can. Again, let's go with the numbers. 33 million businesses have 10 or less employees. And so how do you have balance when you're doing everything? You're like the CEO, the COO, you're the CFO, right? You're doing everything. So if a client calls you and you got your wife here wanting to go to this event, are you going to hang up on your client and that client has about 30% of your business? You have to take that client call. Let's talk about examples all the time. Let's go with facts, right? Facts. Give me facts. Give me the truth of what is going on here, right? An employee doesn't show up for work. Okay, let's say I have a sales force, 10 people. I have a sales force, maybe 1, 2. That person doesn't show up. They get sick. They have a family emergency. Who does sales? You got to do sales. Again, 33 million businesses, 10 or less employees. Let's say you have risk with your customers. You have a business, you have 10 customers. 2 of those customers go away. Your revenue drops 20%. Let's say those customers are responsible for 50% of your business. Crap. You might go out of business. You got to find new customers. Who does that? You. Are you going to go to that kid's soccer game? Or are you going to do, yeah, you want to go. I know in your heart you want to go. You're a good person. You're not a bad person. I'm trying to say you're not a bad person for missing a family event. You're not a bad person for thinking about business all the time. I know all of you deep in your heart, you care for your family, and that's why you work hard so to put food on the table and be the protector for the family. And that's just our responsibilities at the end of the day. Men or women in this case, but it's our responsibilities. As a man, it's our responsibilities to be the protector for our family. Now, there's a story I love to say, and this will deal with my personality, and we talk about protector for the family, is a few years back, there was a big soccer tournament in, this is outside, this is the Inland Empire area out in Temecula, California. About 22 soccer fields, and there's teams going on from all across California got together in this giant soccer tournament. It's club season and different regions of California there. So 22 fields, you're talking 40 teams plus out there playing games, and it's an all-day event. Gets towards the end of the second day, and there's kind of like an award ceremony. My daughter's team's up there, and all of a sudden I look over to my left, and this woman goes, and I'm like, what is she saying? And I hear like, run. I'm like, what? Run. All of a sudden it was like a swarm of people, like going through like a concert, right? And you see a swarm of people run for the exit doors. Everyone runs off the field. I'm like, what's going on? And then I hear like, out of the whole crowd, I could hear my daughter's voice, Dad, we got to go. And she's like behind a tree. And I'm like, what's going on? So I'm standing there. Now imagine like 22 soccer fields. And I'm like, well, what the hell's going on? Why is everyone running and why don't I know what's going on? So I start scanning and I go, okay, there's something up here. So I start I'm thinking there's like a shooter going or something. So I start looking and my first reaction was, okay, my daughter's behind a tree. First, she's safe, right? Next thing is like, hey, I'm going to go. I'm going forward. I'm going to go take care of my family. So the best way for me, I don't know where this person is I'm going to attack. So I'm kind of scanning with everything and I'm looking around. Where is this person at? Where's the shooter at? Is there something I could do about it? And I look around, no one is there. I mean, I'm talking about no one. I'm talking about thousands of people and everybody ran. And I'm like, okay, where's the other men here? Shouldn't we just, if there's one guy with a gun, if there's 10, we could take him out or something like that. But everyone ran. Eventually my daughter's screaming at me and we kind of get to my car. And I'm in my car. I was like, hey, if I get down, she's like, why do we got to get down? I was like, because I'm going to take him out. I got kind of a big size car, right? I was like, I'm going to run this guy over if he has got a gun. And that's way, but I wanted to make sure she was safe. I got out of there. And it turns out that there was an argument between two people and someone took out a gun or said they were going to get a gun. There's no gun. But my point is, my natural state was that protector state. I was protecting my daughter. I looked, she was behind the tree. That was good. I wasn't going to move her because I didn't know if I was going to move her towards a shooter. And my first thing was to keep distance between me and her. And if I saw the person, have her run to safety, me kind of just go take the person out. And that's who I am. That's what I did in that situation. And what I found odd about that is thousands of people, and I was the only one in the field. Everybody ran. And I'm like, that was different to me because, wouldn't be more men kind of out there like, hey, we know a lot of these shooters are solo shooters. It's not usually 10 or 20 or a military out there. It's usually one. And hey, at the end of the day, if I have to sacrifice myself to protect my daughter, that is fine. That's where I am. But I wish there was more men out there like that instead of us all just running for the hills in this case. And it's a story I like to tell. But when gunfire faces you in life, what are you going to do? Are you going to run from it, or are you going to run towards it? And I think it's a good analogy here, because in this situation, my natural reaction was to run towards it and be that protector. And I think most men should be that way. They should be, hey, let's be that protector. Let's not run. But the fact is, they all ran. Every single person ran. Thousands of people, maybe 2,500 people, maybe more. A lot of families there. And I was just like, whoa, what's going on here? I don't know. And that's just a story I have to say. That's an experience. This is called CXC experience. I'm going to share my experiences and how I react to them, and get back to family, right? Family's a big thing. It's like, and then my daughter, and she grows up, and hopefully when she meets a man at the end of the day, she's got someone who's going to be a protector and take care of her like her dad was in that situation. And hopefully that's something that that it's going to be ingrained in her. And, I have 3 daughters at the end of the day. It's not, for me, never thought I'd have 3 daughters, right? And I want them to see that dad's always going to be there for them. I'm going to be a protector for them. Whether I'm there physically or not, I am there to protect them. And one is like, yeah, physically, I'm protecting them in this situation. But more importantly is, hey, I'm bringing home the bacon to make sure they could have a good life, that they go to good schools, they have friends, that they could go on trips and stuff. And to do that, I got to bring home the bacon. I got to work on myself, be the best version of myself, so I could bring home the money for them, build a successful business, have a successful career. So giving them the good things in life. And that's the way I see things. Doesn't mean you have to look at it that way, but that's the way I look at it. That's my number one responsibility. And this balance, I don't think about the balance. I think about my duty. My duty as the head of household is to make sure that the company, or in this case, my company are running well, but my family is being taken care of financially, especially in this world with all this stuff going on. So when people bring up work-life balance, I'm kind of like, what is that? What is that? We gotta sit here and talk about the truth. The truth is there isn't work-life balance. Now, if you want the truth about, being an entrepreneur, being a man and an entrepreneur, and a father in 2026, you have to turn off all that noise, all the podcasts, because they're lying to you. Really, guys, look, it's common sense. Ask the next question. Ask the next question. I always tell people, ask the third or fourth question. People get good at asking 1 and then 2. You could tell them 2, ask 3, ask 4, ask 5. And just kind of keep asking questions. And so the guy's teaching, okay, tell me about your life. Great, okay. Tell me about your, where you're born. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your career. Tell me how many years it took to get there. Tell me, what was the market like? Did you work for someone else? Did you have to raise money for this business? Keep asking questions, and don't take the surface level answer. It's like, well, what did you do? Well, I had great work-life balance. Ask 4 or 5 questions deep to get to the truth of the matter. Be authentic. Be real. Because you're teaching stuff. Turn that shit off. They're teaching the wrong stuff. They want clicks. They want likes. They want this publicity, and then they get paid for it. So if you get a lot of followers, people will pay you money to promote their products, right? So you're making money, you're taking care of your family. Now you got this big following, you're working 2 hours a day, right? That works by saying stuff that doesn't make sense, because that's what people want to hear. And usually people don't want to hear what I'm saying. They do not want to hear what I'm saying. You don't want to hear what I'm saying. Work-life balance. People want to hear, yeah, I have that. Well, I only could work X amount of hours. I live in Southern California. Great waves. A lot of times people surf, right? That's great. Surfing's fun. I've surfed a bit in my life, not as much as I'd like. I loved. I moved out here to surf a little bit more, but I had this thing called a job, a career. I needed to go up the chain. I knew when I came out here, I didn't have certain skills, and so I had to study and work to get those skills. So one time I'm working 2 jobs and studying for some credentials so I could start a career, which was going to get me to the next career, right? And I knew that. And so sitting here, I'm getting up at 5 a.m., hitting the books, going to work one job, then going to work a second job. One job's giving me the money. The second job's giving me the skill set. Come back home, read again to get through credentials, right? I had a blast. It was a great time in life for me. But that's me at the end of the day. But how do you get ahead? Well, there was no balance there. There was no time for me to have a family. Some of the things I did in life is, hey, I pushed having a family a little later. Really, I mean, I started thinking about this in my 30s. I ended up not getting married to my 40s. That's nothing to do with me wanting to get married in the 40s. It's just the one in my 30s, it just didn't work out. But I purposely dedicated my 20s to working hard and sticking the time and energy and developing the skills I didn't have. I really didn't know that I'd still be developing skills in my 40s. Right now in my 50s, I'm developing skills because I just enjoy doing it, right? So I kind of go out and I'm big into fitness and biohacking. And now by me building that foundation, I'm pretty fit in a 50-year-old. So I decided to kind of, hey, let's give CrossFit Games a shot and see if I get the next level. I made the semifinals. I'm in the semifinals. I don't see myself getting to top 30 in the world. Top 400 world's pretty good for myself. But I do, going into this is a good thing. What I'm saying now is that, hey, I'm doing this, the semifinals, to learn my weakness, to see if I can be top 25 in the world in my age group. That's a goal of mine, be top 10 in the world in my age group. I possibly can, not this year, because I know there's a lot of weaknesses. Looking at those weaknesses, and surprisingly, I was like, oh crap, there's old injuries that are popping up that are preventing me that I am working on. So now I'm going around and go, okay, who's an expert in this area, reaching out to them. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And it's kind of like a business. Okay, I want to do this business, and where are my weak spots? So I need to hire those weak spots. Right now in my business, I'm transforming my business, integrating AI everywhere, and it's kind of chaos. Now the chaos is kind of slowing down. And chaos for me is, one, I'm spending a lot of money and not really knowing what I'm doing with the money. I'm trying to learn as much as possible. Number 2, I don't know who to trust, who to hire on this, because really a lot of people don't have a track record to go on, right? So you're trying to look at the intangibles, and hopefully you have a good network going through that. Okay, I got one through that. And now it's kind of like, okay, now how do I get revenue back on? And just the other day, I just really finished a 3 and 5 year plan. So 3 and 5 years. So I'm pretty excited about that. And a lot of AI has a lot of integration in that plan. And I had to go and learn this. And how did I do it? Who am I churning out? I was like, I don't have a buddy who owns a business that integrated AI before. I'm not Facebook, right? I'm not NVIDIA. Hey, I'm not Musk. I don't have 1,000 engineers, right? That I'm paying 350,000. Qualcomm's in my backyard. Apple, I think Apple's trying to hire 1,000 engineers. Starting salary is 350,000 in my backyard. So, hey, how do I pay $350,000 salaries to 1,000 people? That's not going to happen, right? I don't have that, right? So I'm more of a small business owner. So maybe I could get 2 or 3 of those guys over time. So I had to put together my plan to do it. These are the things you got to think through. There's no book. How do I go to someone? Hey, how do you integrate AI with a small budget? Or should I go out and raise capital for an idea I have, but revenue's not really on with that idea in a market where you have these huge names and they have these huge networks that people are just throwing money at, and now they're slowing down a little bit because they want to see revenue. Probably not going to happen. So what do you do? Who do you ask? I'll ask this guy over here. He hasn't done it. And ask this person over here. He hasn't done it. Wait a second. Ask him over here. He is talking about work-life balance. All right. Okay. You're talking about work-life balance in a world where everything's changing. And if I don't stick AI into my company, I don't have a company. And you're saying, hey, you know what, Craig? You can't talk to me. It's my personal space. 12-1. Just don't talk to me. Okay. I get it. No, I don't get it. Because you know what? That's your time. My time is like, I got to protect my family. I got to make sure my company's sound, putting food on the table for my family. Hey, I know it's a sacrifice. So that time period where you're trying to think it through, I don't have time for that. So again, on top of this, can I surround myself with the people who I want to work with? A lot of moving parts there. A lot of moving parts you got to deal with. And there's no textbook to go by. I got guys that they're awesome. If I tell them exactly what to do, they do it. And I'm like, that is great. But if they have to think outside the box at all, they crumble. And it's amazing to me and how I learn like certain people what they can do. Problem solving on certain levels, and we hear strategic and 30,000 feet and tactical levels. It's a little different, right? So it's kind of like you're looking at their experience, and I could say maybe I always like to look at things in the military as a good analogy. It's like, hey, if we could teach our people to make like our special forces, they make decisions and have like 5 or 6 different plans if things don't go according to their plan A, B, C, D, and E, maybe an F in some cases. And I've talked to some guys who are SEALs, and that's why I really like them. They're kind of pre-planning that stuff. That's great. The fact of the matter is they're SEALs, right? They're already had to test again. They're high level, and that's just how high level people think, right? They have to go through testing. So if you think you're getting a employee in who's at that acumen level and you expect them to think that way, no one says that. So that's talent acquisition, right? So how do you get the best talent? Let's get my buddies together and let's throw this great business. And is that going to work? Maybe. I mean, if you come out of the PayPal network, right? They're very bright guys. So it's like, how do you build the right team to kind of be able to deal with those things? And some of it's going to be organic, but if you want to get somewhere fast, hey, you got to deal with that. Different ways to deal with that. Want to take it offline? I'll talk to you about that. I got some ideas and how you do things. I was speaking once at this event, and we're talking about how to pay people, and it was always like, okay, I was like, it depends on the person. So if I have a product guy or maybe a technical guy, I might give him like equity, like ownership, right? If I have my sales team, they need to get commission. It's immediate benefits. They know, okay, after 30 days, I'm getting this check. Do I give them part of the, they don't really care about that equity. They want money today. So you kind of have to set it up. Similarly, if you bring in people around that are high caliber, you might have to have a clear exit path with them and then show them, hey, you might have to give them a percent ownership in your endeavor, what that is. Some people you might be a little bit level below, you give them a profit share, right? But if I don't like use but, and if your company doesn't have a roadmap to be profitable, are they going to stick around? Maybe 10 months, year, definitely they'll start looking at the end of the first year. So if you say, here's our plan, after month 6, we should create a profit, you get some of the rev share on this, and it doesn't happen, they'll start kind of looking for another job. They might stick it out an extra 3 months, but you just got to be realistic because, again, they're a protector of their family. They need the bacon to come in. The guys who want equity, they might already have some money on the side. They've already know mentally what it takes to get there. And again, they have a clock in their head at the same time. And this comes back down to like, okay, what are they sacrificing? What are people sacrificing to come work for you? The work-life balance, is it worth it? Some people, it's not worth it for people. They want to come in, get their check, go home, spend time with their family. They don't have it. But I'm talking about, this is about business owners, entrepreneurs. This is who I'm talking to. People who want to go up the career path as well, you're going to have to stick in the energy and efforts to do it. But this is who I'm talking to you guys out there. And you come home, your wife said you missed this event, she's complaining. You might be super successful and you might go through a couple of marriages. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of people go through a lot of marriages, and I've seen it. I've been around it. I've been around it as a young person, not really understanding it. Now I understand it more from the other side. Personally, I kind of went through stuff too on my own. I've only been married once, but I went through a relationship that was the same thing. Always working all the time. For me, I think I kind of really benefited by not being in that one personally, saying that. And we're all different though, and love to share more stories about it. But kind of always think of like I created this CXC experience to say things that people aren't gonna say. And look back at my career. Look what I built with Diversity Fund. Open up private markets to everyone, regardless of your socioeconomic background. And figure out along the way is like, shit, the regulators were right. People aren't prepared for this. They're taking it out on me when the market's changed. I'm like, well, the market's changed. That's what happens. I'm not a magician. If they change, this is what we do. We have we have a solution for that. And have you gone through market cycles? And market cycles are tough to get through. You have to have patience, right? You got to button things up. You got to cut expenses. You got to keep things lean, get through those markets, and they swing and they come back, right? Sometimes you create a product for that market. And fortunately for us, we've created 2 products for this market to change revenue. And what I mean change revenue, you know what I'm saying, changing revenue. It's just this revenue may not work anymore because the market's changed and the customer, something happened to that customer. So how do you adapt? Every company does this. And we could mention companies that didn't do it, like Blockbuster, grocery stores in the 80s, 90s, no longer around. You're seeing other companies that I know you've seen companies for the last 10 years evolve or go out of business. Some are calling bankruptcy. What's the store? Best Buy. They closed 2 stores in my town. So something's happening with Best Buy, right? If you're watching the news, something's going on with JetBlue or the airliner. They're not making money as well. They've been around a while. They have a lot of debt. So you kind of just talk to people and you see it happens because they didn't adapt or they didn't change their revenue model in time. Some companies just never had it and just kept borrowing money. And then when that liquidity dries up, the game's over for that stuff. But let's get back to work-life balance here. This is all about work-life balance and sacrifices you have to make and the lie that people tell you that there is balance. You can do it both at the same time. I want to know who you are. DM me. Tell me how you did it. And yeah, I know there is exceptions. 33 million businesses in the U.S. that have 10 or less employees. Out of those 33 million people, how many have work-life balance? Let's go with the data. If you could tell me 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, let's start with 10%. So is there 3.3 million business owners out there with work-life balance? Well, I want you to show me their revenue. I want you to show me their EBITDA. I want to see that. I want you to show me how long they've been in business for. Is this a business that's been around 10 years? Did they start the business from scratch? Did they inherit the business? So these are specific questions. Oh yeah, it's doing great. Well, you inherited the business. It's a little different, right? Or I'm talking, I want 10%. Show me 10%. Well, I'll take 1%, 300,000, 330,000, right? And show me that. Give me that. Give me the data, and let's have authentic conversations. Let's bring someone else on the show and how you did both. People talk about burnout. You got to go on a vacation. I'm like, can you walk away from your business for 2 weeks? What will you come back to? I think it's a good stress test. If you're implementing systems, walk away, take a week off, see what happens. Hopefully you have reserves, right? If you don't have enough reserves, you can't walk away. But if you build up reserves, walk away. I think that's a fantastic thing. Build your company to scale, right? And test it, stress test it. You walk away. And the more you do that and your revenue is still coming in, then you're building a successful business. We always get the point of like, hey, they talk about, hey, I got to build a business to bring in good people to run it. I have to start with the right leadership, the right people. Again, to me, first is yourself, right? You got to do what it takes to build that business up, to build that business to scale. Really easy to scale when you have the revenue coming in that is not dependent upon you, but more your business that comes in, whatever business that is. Love subscription-based models where income's coming in on a month-to-month basis, as long as that you foresee that lasting a long period of time. Businesses such as Peloton was one that had that, and then it kind of went through the floor. So you got to always be prepared when that happens at the same time. Again, going back to building businesses here, talking about work-life balance, it's a lie that people have sold you at the end of the day. And I want to hear stories from you, entrepreneurs, people who are becoming entrepreneurs with the idea you're going to do it part-time. That's a side hustle thing again. I'm going to do it part-time, right? That's a side hustle. I mean, you're not really serious, right? If you're serious, burn the ships. Be Cortez, right? Be the Vikings. Burn the boats, no heading back. That means give up your job, go full-time into it, and make it work. That's the best, for me, that's the best way to learn. I think it was, it's called the death position. I believe it's not Sun Tzu says this, and I could be wrong if it's not Sun Tzu, that, hey, put someone in a death position to see how they're going to react. So that's like burning the boats, right? So, hey, we're going to do this to get this result no matter what. And you'll see some people run and you'll see some people rise. And that's a good thing to do. And that's kind of setting goals or hard goals and things. Now, you got to hold people accountable, but that's really brings out that problem solving, that inner grit and grind. And it's called put someone in a death position. Not really. And if you look at that in a militarily wise, like, hey, you're going to be, if you don't get through this mission, you'll be killed. They're always going through that mentality. And the business is kind of the same mentality. It's like, hey, we have this goal in 90 days to hit this revenue, or that's it, right? And you'll see some people run out the door and some people rise to occasion. It's something you should try, and just depends on your circumstances. I think you got to be strategic with this. You can't just say, hey, what works for me, what works for you. You're going to have to adapt to that, so don't take this verbatim. You might not have the right personnel in place to do that, and then all you don't have a business at the end of the day if you're going to really put that pressure on people. But maybe you do it, a version of it in a manner where, hey, you hit a goal and you put all your resources towards hitting that goal. And if you don't hit that goal, you have that information to make that decision. You could do versions of that. And I think it's something that you should do. And I think that's something you should test out on your team to see if they could rally behind a goal here. And I'm doing that right now. I have this goal by July 1st. We're all rallying behind it. I hit a snag, and I'm like, okay, I know what the snag is. I know that this one thing has to happen for everything else has to happen. So every day, first thing I do is I do that thing. And I focus on getting that thing. That's my first domino. That's the way I look at it. Of course, I got to do everything else, but that's the most important thing, because I know that's the major piece to move. And again, am I thinking about work-life balance? This last week, my daughter, she's got into a new school. Fantastic, great school. She's already visited twice in the last 3 weeks. I couldn't visit her. I had out-of-town customers come to my office. I have initiatives I've put in place. I've had some HR stuff I had to deal with. Someone else went on a trip, right? So I had all these things going on. I couldn't go, and that's just the truth of the matter. Am I going to get like, hey, Craig, congratulations, you should have went? And wife wanted me to go. She's like, but she knows, she understands. She understands, and the people around you, do they understand? Well, you should go. I'm like, yeah, I'll go, but who's going to do this? Well, no matter what you do, it's not going to change. I'm like, no, I'm driving that, so I have to be there to drive it. Now, how I do it is I like to when I get things on, right, and I could see out in the future 3 to 6 months. I'm like, okay, here's a time to take a week off. So that's kind of, I do these micro vacations, or within the day itself, I take an hour break for myself personally, and then for me, I've make sure that maybe if I'm not around my kids, I bring them with me to work. I think that's great exposure for them. I got a large office, and they kind of run around it. Actually, I spend more time cleaning the office when they're there, but that's another story. But I try to interject it as much as I can, and try to kind of find these moments where I could spend a little time with them. Granted, it's not as much time as I would like, but they know I'm trying. At the end of the day, they know what I'm doing. They know what Dad's doing, and they know I'm always giving 100%. I'm always trying to show up with the best version of myself. I'm firm. I'm going to be honest with people. I'm going to be authentic. My time is money. Every time I'm working on something, that means I'm not with them. So I'm very, very respectful of my time. And so I create that culture. Be respectful of each other's time, because I'm talking to you means I'm not with them. And that's a big thing about me. And you should run your business the same way. The most precious thing you have is your time, right? So don't be scrolling too much. Make sure that you are still, it depends where you are, but have the right relationships. Be honest with yourself with the relationships you're building. At the same time, like if you're doing systems, try to get systems in place as fast as possible. It's a catchword out there. Everyone says you need to build systems to scale. I love when people put systems in when things don't work. I'm like, hey, this isn't working. We don't need a system yet. We got to still figure out if it works, then put a system in. Some people like to put the systems in and then get it to work. A little different. I'm like MVP. Once it gets traction, build a system around it. A lot of people build a system. So that's you. That's you probably not. You got to get alignment with the people that you're building a business with. Work-life balance. I'm sorry, guys. It doesn't really exist. It doesn't exist. They're watching you. Your family's watching you. Your kids are watching you. They're watching you work hard. They're wondering why you're not around. They're wondering, hey, where's dad at? They're going, your wife, she's shaking her head, probably having a ton of conversations, but we're all in it together, right? At the end of the day, if you need to have a conversation, reach out to me. Love to talk to you about it. Love to give you the ways. I figured out some ways that work for myself with this. One, find the right wife. My wife was an entrepreneur before. She understands it. That does really help me out a lot. What's going to work for you too? Because, hey, we're in uncertain times. AI is coming in. We have a war going on. Inflation's still kind of high. Interest rates are high, right? We're in a depressed real estate market. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's not that liquid. Banks aren't lending. And you're going to talk about work-life balance. Now's the time you have to grind it out. If you're an entrepreneur, I understand what you're going through. You got to make sure your business is around to last so you could bring home the bacon and support your family. Hey, this show exists to talk about the truth, to be authentic, share my stories with you, and I'd love to hear your stories as well. How you get through the tough times, how you make it through the good times, what will you do today, and how you're changing in today's world. Subscribe to my channel, learn more. We'll be here each and every week talking about real life circumstances and being authentic and telling the truth. I think there's a quote from Game of Thrones when I think the one world, when we start lying, what is the world? Because lies and more lies, there's no trust. And when there's no trust, we don't have anything. So everything you're going online, I'm telling you, it's a bunch of lies. Let's be authentic. Let's just bring the truth back to people. Be authentic, be real, and share stories. Subscribe to my channels, and we'll talk about it more.